economic ties with the United States. So that's I think the president of the Semiconductor Association will be meeting with the president, and then we have other business leaders, particularly those who have already invested in the Philippines or are planning to expand their investments in the healthcare. We also have some of those in the infrastructure, which is part of the Lon Corridor. So yan ang mga kakausapin ng Presidente, which is part of his business meetings that he will conduct in between important official meetings on Monday. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Marisan Halili po from PTI. Sir, do we expect agreements to be signed during the visit of the President here?
Well, generally the agreement has been in process, especially on the defense side. So we've had a number of interaction between our Secretary of National Defense and the Secretary of Defense, especially during the visit of Secretary Hegseth. So as far as the defense is concerned, that's an ongoing thing. We have a lot of continuing discussions on how we can tighten our relationship as far as security and defense is concerned. On the side of the economic part, obviously, we know that we're in the middle of some negotiations that are being conducted by Secretary Frederick Go, who's heading our team together with Secretary Roque. So hopefully it will be a positive outcome, but whatever it is, we totally understand the dynamics of the discussions because, as you know, President Trump had made it clear that the United States is in the process of imposing tariffs, which he feels is going to just be fair for the United States. Every country has their own national interest to protect. And in our case, we also would like to see something that would be good for both our countries. So hopefully this will be a positive discussion that our Secretary Go is having right now. You know, bargaining chip is probably not the right word. What would be good for both our countries? We have to look at relationships now in a different light. I think what's important is what is going to be good for us is what we're going to negotiate on. And the other side, meaning the United States, will also do what they can as far as what they're concerned, they feel is it is also in their national interest. So in other words, para magkatugma yung relationship, kailangan tama lang for both sides. So we have to always think on those bases now. Hindi na pwede yung anong pwede natin makuha sa isang bayan. Kailangan ano yung tama para sa dalawa. Pero most important, yung anong mas mabuti para sa atin. Siyempre, that's part of the whole equation on why we're embarking on these trips that the President takes. Well, that's still very far in the sense that we have to get over this particular discussion first on the tariff. After that, we're hoping that the free trade agreement would probably come into play. If you remember, during the first administration, there was already conversations surrounding the FTA, and we were in the process of actually going in that direction. But that changed, obviously, with the new administration. But now we're bringing that back into play, and hopefully we'll be able to come out with something that will be mutually agreeable for both the United States and the Philippines on the free trade agreement. Again, generally we have all the agreements, the EDCA, the VFA, and our modernization program that we're working with the United States. So that's ongoing. So essentially, it's really the reaffirmation of all of these agreements that we have with the United States on our mutual defense, specifically surrounding the Mutual Defense Treaty. So it'll be more on discussions on how we can continue to cooperate with the United States, our major ally. At the same time, also, I think President Marcos would like to see how we can work with the United States and other countries that have the same mindset as far as the West Philippine Sea is concerned. So it will be on those general subjects of discussion. Well, I think that the first step that was taken was that the U.S. Congress has approved the production of ammunition in the Philippines. Obviously, we're open to that one because it's a good way of being able to have a combination of both defense and economic cooperation between the Philippines and the United States. So setting up a production facility in the Philippines would obviously be beneficial for us economically also, because it will create jobs, and it will obviously be a good hub for them to be able to produce what is required for our defense. So again, these are talks that we're pursuing together with our economic team on how we can continue to have this type of cooperation, especially with the U.S. Defense Department. No, there are no formal talks yet. We are still in the process of seeing what this new bill that was included in the U.S. Congress National Defense Act. So we're waiting for that, but we're preparing for it. We have a number of companies in the Philippines that are interested in joining that potential consortium, basically, into this production facility. Tudor has made it clear that the Philippines' priority is really more on the defense side. So we're really still studying on how we will be able to procure this multi-role fighter jets. It's a very expensive item as far as our defense is concerned. So Secretary Tudor has indicated to me and to our partners that it is, while it is important for us for the modernization of the armed forces, our priority is more on the defense equipment that we need, and that's what we're concentrating on right now. I think we probably will not need to, because we've had discussions already. I've had meetings with the Department of Homeland Security on how we can cooperate with the United States on how to handle illegal immigration. As I've always said, those that have a legal path should have already contacted immigration lawyers. We have volunteer Filipino-American Lawyers Associations that have come forward to help our Filipino kababayans. But I think at the end of the day, the laws of the United States must be respected, just like we expect citizens who come to the Philippines to also respect our laws. So the bottom line is there is really not much room for discussion, but to simply work in such a way that all Filipinos that are up for deportation will be deported to the Philippines and not to a third country, which I think is already been agreed upon, that any kind of deportation will mean, as long as they're Filipino citizens, we will make sure that they are deported to the Philippines.
Do we have a recent number as in the number of people, Filipinos that have been deported?
We don't have the exact number, but we're talking here about anywhere between perhaps a little less than 100,000 maybe. But again, these are confidential matters that the Homeland Security and the immigration, U.S. immigration, they only inform us about this when they see that it's important for the Philippine Embassy to work with them on how we can repatriate these Filipinos.
And, sorry, Ambassador.
Yes.
These Filipinos are usually, most of them are from which state and what sectors are they engaged in?
Well, a large number, of course, of Filipinos are concentrated in California. So you can imagine that we probably may have quite a number of them in the West Coast. We do have some of them, of course, here in the East Coast, but generally it's the concentration of Filipinos are in California. Well, I think the invitation of President Trump for him to stay at the Blair House is significant in the sense that, when you are invited to stay at the presidential guest house here in Washington, that means something, that you're obviously given importance by your host, and staying there is important. And I've told President Marcos that it would be wonderful for him to stay there, because when his parents were invited here by President Reagan, they stayed at the Blair House. And I happened to be a reporter then, like you. And so I was actually covering that event, and it was very significant. And so, to me, it's quite significant and historical, because now it's President Marcos Jr. that will be staying at the Blair House as a guest of President Trump. Well, I think the Luzon Corridor has long been planned, and it was given an exemption by Secretary Marco Rubio to continue as part of the U.S. program on economic assistance to the Philippines. It is a very, very good project. I think no one will argue that connecting the Subic area all the way up to the Batangas port. So that area has a very high potential of economic activity that will definitely enhance our economic prosperity. So there are already a lot of companies that are lining up, as a matter of fact, into working on that project. And also, locally, it will boost the economy in those areas that will cover the Luzon Economic Corridor. So that's a very significant investment coming not only from the United States, but other countries as well. There are other countries that are also coming into play on that one. Well, that one is just a feasibility study. Once the feasibility study is completed, then you can see, we will be able to determine on what that thing will do as far as the economic program of our government will have in terms of being able to have more potential investments coming in, not only from local investors, but from foreign investors as well. So we obviously are very confident that it will bring in quite a billions of dollars to our country once that thing is completed or even in play. We already have people who are signified their intention to invest and to see, or they would like to be able to find out exactly what it is that they can invest in as far as that's concerned.
Any big names as to the companies that express interest to invest in the Luzon Corridor?
Well, I can only tell you that there are countries that have signified. Japan, for instance, I think South Korea, and other countries like Australia. All our allies and friends have signified their intention to look into it as a potential investment activity for our country. Well, I think President Marcos, we arranged for him to have a phone call immediately after November 5 when President Trump was elected. And in that phone call, as you probably may recall, President Trump recalled his meeting Mrs. Imelda Marcos, the mother of the president. And that basically set the tone. There is that personal connection between President Marcos Jr. and Mrs. Imelda Marcos and President Trump. When I met President Trump in West Palm Beach at his golf course, he said the same thing. I know Mrs. Marcos. And so that connection, that personal connection obviously is significant in the sense that, as we all know, President Trump is very personal in his relationships with world leaders. And I think that connection tells you how he values friendship. And it is an advantage, obviously, for the Philippines that President Marcos has that personal connection with President Trump.